The drunk man raised his heavy wooden club, ready to crush the soul of what he called a cursed monster. But when Sophia screamed, "Leave him alone!" she had no idea that this beast's existence was about to seize her entire world, rewriting her destiny forever. The night was a suffocating blanket of silence until the rhythmic thumping of Sophia's sneakers hit the pavement, a routine escape from her solitary life of remote work. But the air suddenly fractured with the sound of a primal, jagged terror. As she pulled her earbuds out, the world rushed in, a cacophony of drunken slurs and the terrifying whistle of a wooden club cutting through the humid air. There, under the flickering, sickly yellow hum of a street lamp, stood a man whose soul seemed as ragged as his clothes. He was hunting. His target was a creature that looked less like a dog and more like a ghost carved from shadows, a monster birthed from neglect. This wasn't just a dog. His body was a map of systematic betrayal, his skin draped over a hollow frame like a tattered velvet curtain over a collapsed birdcage. You could see the desperate, frantic pulse of his heart against his paper-thin hide. Every breath was a painful reminder of his starvation. He didn't just have ribs showing, his entire existence looked like a structural miracle, a skeleton held together by nothing but sheer will and the memory of pain. "Hey, what do you think you're doing? Leave him alone." Sophia's voice didn't just shout, it shattered the man's violent world. She lunged forward, her fingers trembling as she tried to snatch the weapon of malice. The man's eyes were bloodshot, swimming in a sea of cheap gin as he roared with his dying breath. "Don't you get involved. I'm sick of this freak. He's a cursed omen, a demon that haunts my doorstep every night. If you want this monster so bad, take him, or I'm throwing him in the trash where he belongs." The dog, a massive Pitbull whose spirit had been crushed into the dust, looked up with eyes like shattered glass, wide, vacant, and drowning in a level of fear that no living being should ever know. He didn't know why he was hated, he only knew the cold. Sophia felt a jagged tear in her own heart. She ignored the man's stench and knelt in the dirt, snapping her fingers with a softness that felt like a sacred prayer. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, I have to say I'm a little heartbroken. Stories like this need your support. Hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. Now, back to what happened next. The monster tilted his scarred head, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel a blow. He felt a touch. He followed Sophia home, his paws clicking a rhythm of hesitant hope against the cold concrete of the city. Inside the warmth of the apartment, the reality of what Sophia had done began to sink in. She looked at her new guest, a giant, silent sentinel standing in her living room. "I'm sorry, I don't have dog food," she whispered, her voice cracking as she offered him her own dinner. She watched him eat with a desperate, frantic gratitude that made her throat tighten. Her plan was simple: the shelter, first thing in the morning. But the universe had other plans. When she woke up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, she stopped dead in her tracks. The large gray sectional couch that usually felt empty was gone. In its place was a mountain of fur and muscle. "My God," she gasped, "what even are you? You didn't look this massive under the streetlights." The dog looked like a fallen titan, his heavy head resting on the cushions, his breathing deep and rhythmic like the ocean. The next morning, as Sophia sat at her desk, she felt a wet sandpaper tongue against her ankles. Before she could react, a massive, soft belly began trying to climb into her lap. The sheer size of him was comical, a powerhouse of muscle acting like a tiny kitten. She burst into a fit of giggles, burying her hands in his soft, squishy underside that felt like unbaked dough. "Oh my God, you're just like a giant piece of pastry," she laughed. She stood up and looked at him, her heart doing a strange somersault. "Fine, for now, your name is Pastry. I was going to take you to the shelter, but I'm just too buried in work today. Maybe tomorrow." But tomorrow came and she was too busy again. The day after, "Pastry, I'm so sorry, I have to go grocery shopping, so we'll go to the shelter tomorrow." The excuses became a ritual, a wall of words she built to hide the fact that she was falling in love. Her neighbors would see them walking and remark on how happy they looked together. "Oh no," Sophia would snap, her face turning red. "He's not staying, he's leaving soon." The neighbors would just exchange knowing glances, whispering, "Yeah, sure, definitely," as they laughed and walked away, watching the 180-pound giant look at Sophia like she was the only star in a dark sky. The transition from a temporary guest to the king of the household happened so slowly that Sophia didn't even notice the shift in her own soul. She told herself she only officially adopted him and got his shots so he would be marketable, but the weeks bled into months, and the months turned into years. This week, the calendar hit a milestone that Sophia still refuses to acknowledge out loud. It has been exactly 2 years since she pulled Pastry away from that wooden club. Today, Pastry is no longer a skeletal ghost. He is a 180-pound fortress of pure, unadulterated devotion. He is a living shield who waits by the door for her, a massive, doughy belly that still demands rubs every afternoon at 2 p.m. sharp. Every single morning for the last 730 days, Sophia looks into those deep amber eyes, the same eyes that were once filled with terror, and says the same lie. "Pack your things, Pastry, we are going to the shelter tomorrow." But then she spends the rest of the day spoiling him with steaks, long walks in the park, and forehead kisses that linger just a little too long. The truth is a weight heavier than Pastry's 180-pound frame. Sophia didn't just save a dog that night. She found the part of herself she didn't know was missing. She claims she keeps him because she's too close to dropping him off, but in reality, she treats every day as if it were their last, pouring a lifetime of love into every hour, just in case tomorrow ever actually comes. She rescued him from a monster, only to realize that he was the guardian angel she had been waiting for her entire life. Their bond is a masterpiece of denial and devotion, a silent pact that tomorrow is a destination they will never actually reach. They are two souls, once lonely and once broken, now fused together in a house filled with the sound of heavy paws and soft laughter. What would you do in this situation? Would you have the heart to let him go after seeing those eyes? Tell me in the comments below, and let's discuss your thoughts.